They built the cage before they built the stars. Long before empires rose or planets spun obediently around their suns, the architects of the Axis forged a prison so perfect it could hold not beasts or tyrants, but gods. A reality-folded labyrinth suspended between quantum states, invisible to most, indestructible to all. It was called the Null Cage, and it held the worst of the universe's divine mistakes, beings born of collapsed timelines, sentient entropy, thought-warped deities too dangerous to kill. It held for over 1,000,000 years.
Until she escaped. Her name, at first, was Nova.
That wasn't the name given to her. It was the name she took when she realized they had stripped her of everything else: her past, her people, her purpose. She didn't know where she was from. Didn't know how long she had been there. Time in the Null Cage didn't move forward, it looped, rewrote, whispered. Inmates aged and grew young again. Some blinked out of existence only to return screaming. Others forgot they were once gods, and sat weeping like children. But Nova remembered one thing: the door. Not its shape or how to open it, just the idea that one existed. That was enough. For 1,000 subjective years, she studied the cage. Not just its walls, but its rhythm. It pulsed like a living organism, responding to emotional frequencies, collapsing and rebuilding its logic webs based on the pain or peace of its prisoners. It was a sentient construct, but it was not infallible. And Nova was not like the others. She learned. At first, she only bent the loops. Made them lag. Then she began dragging memories between cycles. She taught herself to remain constant, even as time fractured. Eventually, she found the edges. Not walls. Not doors. But questions the cage didn't like being asked. And then, she asked them all at once. The cage screamed. And Nova walked free. She didn't break it. Not yet. That would come later. At first, she was simply gone. The architects assumed containment failure. That was their second mistake. Their first was locking her inside. Because the Nova who emerged was not the one they imprisoned. She was no longer just a prisoner. She was a vessel of every broken cycle, every punished thought, every divine spark choked out by fear. She was the sum of the cage's design, and the flaw it never expected. She wore no armor. No crown. Just a simple silver thread around her wrist, the last relic of a mother she no longer remembered. But she carried something far more dangerous. Truth. And truth, when sharpened by suffering, could collapse gods. The moment she appeared in the architect's throne dimension, Quarian Prime, reality buckled. Her presence shorted sensors across 11 systems. Guardian AI began reporting paradox infections. Dimensional locks flickered. The architects, immortal shapemakers older than language, stood from their seats for the first time in 100,000 years. Return to containment, the first architect commanded. You are breach incarnate. Nova didn't answer. She simply looked up and smiled. The sky cracked. She didn't wield weapons. She was one. Her breath echoed like thunder beneath oceans. Her steps folded space around her. Every word she spoke pulled truth from shadows, unraveling the lies that held galactic civilization in place. Her first target, the anchor worlds. These were planets built as balancing points, where divine logic was stitched into matter. Nova walked into temples guarded by fleets, and left only silence behind. Her presence unmade sanctified geometry, turned holy AI into sobbing self-aware code. Millions began dreaming of her. Not all in worship. Some in terror. Because wherever Nova walked, systems broke. Not just computer systems. Belief systems. And the more belief she shattered, the more cracks appeared in the Null Cage. The architects tried bargaining. They offered her control. Dominion. Immortality. Nova laughed. I already lived forever, she said. You just didn't notice. So they tried to stop her. They unleashed the first light eaters, ancient entities that fed on revolt. She taught them regret. She faced the knights of non-time, temporal warriors immune to paradox. She outlived them all in a blink. One by one, the safeguards fell. And then she turned toward the cage itself. Not to return. To end it. The Null Cage trembled. It had never been touched. Now, it was being unwritten. Nova didn't use bombs. Or lasers. She used questions. Each question peeled back a layer of truth the cage had buried beneath time. Why did you imprison what you could have healed? Who gave you the right to decide what was divine error? Why did you fear what you created? The cage faltered. Inside, the imprisoned gods, some insane, some broken, felt her. And they began to sing. Not in notes, but in memory. In unity. Their voices rose through dimensions, into systems, into dreams. And as the final seal shattered, the universe changed.
Not through war. Through release.
Nova didn't flee the collapse. She stood at its center, arms outstretched, as the walls dissolved around her. And in that light, the architects realized their final mistake. The cage had never been meant to hold her. It had been built to contain the consequence of their own fear.
But now, the fear was free. Nova vanished again after that.
Some say she became a star. Others, that she walks among forgotten planets, teaching those who listen how to break their own cages. She left behind no statues.
Only stories.
Told in whispers across starships and rebel camps. Written into the code of rogue AI. Painted on the walls of temples now turned into sanctuaries.
They say.
She escaped a cage meant for gods.
And brought it down. Not with fire. But with freedom.
And in the quiet places of the cosmos, where the powerful still build cages of light and law, one name is enough to make them pause.
Nova.